Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Tuesday, September 27th. I was able to run this scan and came up with some really solid swing trade opportunities that the scan is bringing forth. Again, if you want me to sort of talk about the scan setup in a future video, leave a comment. I'd be happy to. But this is surfacing Apple, Google, Micron, and Salesforce that could have strong movements. Now, the direction is the main question. Strong movement which way? That's what playing the price action in front of you is for. But these could potentially set up for swing trade opportunities. It's on the 4-hour time frame, and so I wanted to bring them in for us to look at today. I'm going to start over here on Webull, where I'm going to put in some levels and some trend lines. I'm starting this video over, unfortunately, which is why this one is already done, but hey, maybe that'll help speed us up. But you'll see me do Google, MU, and CRM live on the video here. But in any case, support level that I see, is here about 147, maybe high 146, all the way up to this like 149 level, and then resistance level here, situated about 156 to like mid 157s maybe. Now the prevailing thing to me is this downtrend resistance. It's quite far from it now. I mean, if it were to move up to that level tomorrow, that would put it, into this resistance level. So it would need a pretty solid move, about a $5 move, $6 move to kind of start contending with that. So we'll see if that's in play. But also, this could continue to consolidate for several days all the way to play out this descending triangle formation that's being put in here. So we'll just have to kind of see how that plays out. Now on the DMA here, a slight crossover, nothing that interesting. At the moment, you see it's been making lower highs as well recently, as well as higher lows, and so it itself is coming into a bit of a wedge. So that'll be interesting to kind of see. But yeah, it's definitely, you can tell that it's in this sort of TTM squeeze, which is what that scanner scans for. And again, if you missed my last swing video, squeeze, we're not talking about a short squeeze. We're talking about a period of consolidation that is then going to erupt into a major move. Again, biggest question is which direction. So no strong crossovers here, just kind of consolidating itself in. And then on the EMAs, they're kind of laying on top of each other. A little bit hard to see here, but you can see the dots here. They're kind of laying on top of each other. The 8's not crossing over the 21 to the upside yet, but it's getting close. We'll see if it shrugs off of that or if it pulls down, which way it kind of wants to move in there. The MAs aren't doing much for us at the moment. As you can imagine, it's situated underneath as a bear market. And here's the squeeze, 3 trigger candles, which is really good. Taking place during the day today. So that's pretty solid. And just kind of flat on these last few candles. This one coming in after hours, as you can see, but these two coming in during the trading day, and situated right there on that midline, that sort of bright bluish midline that you see there. So upper bound, lower bound. So, the question is, do we get a push up toward 156 here? Do we push it down toward 148? That's the question. And we see here the ranges. I'm also happy to talk about this setup in a future video. Leave it in the comments if you want. But, puts below 147.15. That's this yellow line here. Calls above 156.37 over here. And then that, unlocks the potential for a move toward over 171 or below 133, just a bit above 132. So, that's a huge like $40 range, 132 to 171. And so this could be what it's queuing up for to make one of these big moves in either direction. So I'll be watching that. RSI holding pretty close to the mid-range at the moment, mid 40s. And so looking for indications of which way it wants to break. This center line here is this like pivot point between the call and the put zone. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, next up here we have Google. let's see what Google has in store here. Now this one to me, I see it right away. Sorry, that was nauseating. But DMA starting to curl in. Now it can threaten and then push up like you saw here, and a few fake outs here as well. So who knows if that'll cross over to the downside. It's already well below the baseline. You see here we're in the -3s, which is very, very, very low. When it was what, $15 a share higher, which is a significant percentage change. It was up here and it was, above the baseline, but it was just, 1.5, whereas now it's -3 or so. So it's quite a change. And we certainly see the rolling out of that downtrend resistance on this chart as well. Pretty apparent. You could sort of take, the more aggressive one or the more sort of safe one, conservative one if you want. I'll kind of split the difference a little bit there and say that, we have that to look at. This gap looks to me like it's probably been filled by that little jump. And then if we zoom out further, that's that's nonsense. Don't pay attention to that. So that's going to make it a little bit challenging for us to get something in here that's useful. Oh, that's really obnoxious. But let's get rid of this. And okay, so obviously what sticks out to me is this here, because we see that it brought in this same support level that it tried to hold and then broke through. Same support level back here. Okay, that's going to crap out of me. So it goes. So that's what I'm looking for to the upside. If it is able to get some motion up there, and then the next level in would be, to me, looking at, this level here. We'll catch this resistance down to that support there and look for anything interesting happening through that level. Otherwise it's just going to be a question of, can it hold this recent support, down in this, I don't have to go back, that doesn't make sense, in this range here, or is it going to lose that? It's sort of like very, very tight in to where it's stuck at the moment. So those are the questions to me. These EMAs, yeah, just a race to the bottom at the moment. Nothing threatening to pop through. Yeah, this is really silly. So let's go over here and take a look on Thinkorswim and see what they're looking at here. So, we see the calls over 101 here, puts under 94. So pretty clean kind of levels there. And now we do see this is certainly a different setup, right? This is situated below the first ATR level, kind of coming down to the lower band, which is the second ATR level, and also situated at this pivot point. So that's similar to what we saw on Apple, but it's gravitating toward lower in the channel. And this has been triggering for longer. Now, of course, this incorporates pre-market today, but it held this trigger all throughout the day. And RSI very, very low on Google at the moment. This is 33, about 34 in the after hours now. So, we'll see. It looks like downtrend starting to pick up, but you never know. It could hit the bottom of this channel or just rest on this pivot point and have a strong move up, kind of wrestle with this mid zone and then make an effort at that 101 level. So that's where it sort of becomes a bit of a guessing game / really pay close attention to the price action in front of you to try to figure out, okay, if this starts firing like we saw here in the green, where's the big move coming, to the upside or to the downside? All right, so that's Google. MU, this chart should be a little bit easier to deal with. We don't have the split situation happening. So this obviously still caught in a downtrend. I mean, all these stocks are going to fit that criteria, but this one's certainly looking a little bit different than the others. So I'm going to put this one here, and it'll be sort of the downtrend resistance that I'll be looking for any potential break or any potential move toward and then reject off, potentially playing the downside off of the rejection. Now we see, if we zoom out a little bit here, we have an interesting level here on this knife. Here's where it got caught on the lower level, and then we could certainly bring this up or bring this down. You know, I'm probably more apt to bring it down since it has a little bit of a double bottom there on that 48.45 level. And it's kind of peeking its head out from underneath that now. To me, the next interesting level, that's a little bit interesting, but just a little bit. To me, this is much, much more interesting. We capture all of these support levels back to here, and including this here and these here. I just want to make sure I didn't make this range too enormous. Yeah, sometimes when you're catching a zone, you all of a sudden realize that you caught like a 20% move in a box, and it's just like that box is just far too big. Yeah, so that's what I'll look for to the upper and to the lower end. It could bat around here and then squeeze itself out in this downtrend resistance one way or another. We'll certainly have to see. Check on what the DMA is doing here. This is a more interesting kind of curve up, though it's already looking like it's threatening to kind of peel off a little bit and maybe work itself back down, but this is also situated quite low and is a little bit more sharp of a move to the upside. You see the sharp up move here that then push it this way, but these catch a little bit late, so unless it's a very, very big move, by the time the DMA is catching it, it can kind of be halfway gone or potentially even further. So getting close to the crossover on this EMA as well, the 8 to the 21. So I keep an eye on those to see if that 8 can pop through tomorrow or not. That could be an interesting indication. MA is not going to do much for us at the moment. Popping over here, MU. So this is indicating calls over 53.68, puts under 47.48, and you see a nice, what's this, 3, 6, it's like 8 4-hour candles triggering, so that's really good. It might be catching a few trading days. Yeah, the last couple of trading days, including, of course, the after hours in between. And RSI certainly climbing and then, steadying off a little bit after hours, but certainly climbing, so maybe indicating something there. Not sure. Rate at its pivot point also. So this is sort of the theme, situated just slightly above the mid-range of this channel. And, it's showing that this sell pressure potentially dying down. So we'll have to see. I think MU also has earnings coming up. So just keep that in mind, or double check that for me. If you're thinking of playing this, it might certainly impact your decision, but do what you want. That is MU. Now CRM, pull this baby up, and yeah, this is definitely a different chart. So we see it was caught in a downtrend here, and then it broke through, but then sort of came down and was hugging it again, and now it's trying to maybe consolidate itself away from that downtrend. Now it's still maybe caught under what I would call like a secondary level downtrend, which we could put that in by pulling together these, right? So you could say that we pulled together a bunch of these resistance levels up here, a bunch of these wicks and candles, and then this is the big catch, right? That one wicked off there. That was a big minus 6% candle. And yeah, so now it's coming up to kind of potentially challenge this. So that could be interesting for sure. Put this in to see. I don't know if it's going to hold well enough or if it'll just kind of come down and challenge this as a double bottom. It certainly could come down and just challenge this as a double bottom, or it could come in and see if it wants to wedge out again. Which direction? That's the question. But at least there's sort of like a roadmap to pay attention to. Now, if we want to look at the box that this is in, to me, it looks like it's not even really this previous support. I mean, that's definitely playing a role. If I don't okay, I'm gonna have to put this in as 2 separate levels. Otherwise, this is gonna be what I just described, where I'm putting in like a 20% move in one box, and that's just too much to deal with. So this, I'm gonna just shade this way, since the price action is all up in there at the moment. And then you see this bunch of previous support and resistance caught from this one 53.50 up to about 158 there. Those to me are the interesting levels. So box break here could include a wedge break as well. Those to me would be the most interesting things to see, and then that'll position us well to get into this level. And this might be really sticky. It might kind of fly through like we saw here, and it kind of flew through here as well. So it's kind of like flying through this box, except for this situation here. Otherwise, it's kind of flying through this box these last couple times, but then treating it as resistance or treating it as support in between flying up and flying down. So kind of interesting level there. If it starts cruising, then you might think, okay, maybe this is another situation where it's going to cruise. Who knows? That's why we say sort of do the homework and then play the price action in front of you, of course. So calls above 156.70, puts below 141.08, says this. And these can certainly dip and then reverse course. That's definitely happened a lot. Now this has a long trigger with a brief fire here that didn't really equate to anything. It didn't really pan out, but you see it was caught oversold there on the RSI. That was just sort of like the opening candle or into the opening candle. Looked like it could be making a big move, but then was able to kind of gather itself and just move sideways. So that's sort of contributing to this very, very long trigger. So when it fires, the fire might be sort of equally as as strong as the length of the trigger. RSI creeping up, so maybe there's something there, but it's butting its head right now against this mid-range plus the pivot. So all of these sort of like stuck on this pivot point, which can make it extra challenging to figure out which direction it's going to go. And it may take several days for this to even fire. So it might just keep triggering and triggering. We'll have to see. But that could be interesting as well. And we don't see the channel really lengthening out to the upside or downside yet. Like we don't see it spreading yet. And that could be sort of like a part of the lengthy trigger that it's been going through here. But yeah, we'll have to see. And it's just interesting that CRM is sort of like the different setup from, these other three have some distinct similarities about them. And CRM to me looks a bit like the outlier. So we'll see if that goes sooner than later. Certainly is going to wedge itself in here sooner than say like Google is going to work its way to there, right? So could be interesting rest of the week or beginning of October and whatnot. So depending on how long it takes, we will just have to see. But in any case, I hope that your trading week is off to a good start, and I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.